Welcome back, everyone. It's our fourth and final Q&A for the Pet Nutrition Summit. And I've enjoyed the heck out of myself over the last few days. So I hope that you have too. And I know that everybody has learned a lot because the experts that we had speaking were just dang amazing. Once again, I'd really like to thank our sponsors, Embrace Pet Insurance. They had a wonderful presentation today, Animal Biome. Holly Gans did a great presentation about the biome with some great studies. Raw Dog Food and Company, I believe their presentation was yesterday, maybe the day before. Good raw feeding information. And then Four-Legger shampoo or Four-Legger grooming products, amazing stuff. So a huge shout out, and please support our sponsors. And another shout out for the Food Therapy for Dogs coaching program that will be November 19th and 20th, our masterclass. The website is up there, petsummits.com/nutrition/masterclass. There, it will be open to only 50 people, and we are well on our way to that number. So, all right, we have questions in here already. What's my opinion on feeding insects to the dog? It's growing in the pet food market, but little knowledge of long-term effects. And that's my exact take on it. We don't have knowledge of what feeding insects long-term is going to do to our pets. I certainly don't think that it is something that we should be feeding as the only protein source for our pets. We have no clue what this is going to do. With that said, I can tell you that we have a clouder of cats, 12, and they catch grasshoppers and eat them all day. We live on a farm and we have, the usual grasshopper summer explosion, and they leap in the air, grab them and crunch them down and eat them. So they must supply some protein that they find enjoyable. But if you want to feed it as a treat, fine. I'm kind of, I don't think I'm going to do it. But I certainly would not use an insect protein based food as my sole source of feeding. I think that it's too dangerous at this point. My dog is on cyclosporin and ketoconazole for interdigital cysts. Your vet wants you to stop raw because his immunity might be lowered. Is raw safe for him? I'll tell you what is not safe for him: the combination of cyclosporin and ketoconazole. Both of those can cause all kinds of problems, and the two of them given together, the ketoconazole will increase the cyclosporin concentration in the blood and have an even more immunosuppressive effect. If you go to my YouTube or go further back in my Facebook, we did spooky drugs for the last 2 weeks of October. And that was one of the drugs that we covered. And I strongly recommend against using it. It can cause liver failure, definitely bone marrow suppression, kidney disease, seizures, you name it. So not a good combination. All right. New comments are down this way, and I know there's a million of them already. If you use my deer antler supplement as explained, does that cover the omega-3s? No. It has omega-3s in it that are very powerful, but me personally, I give my dogs the Deer Antler Velvet Senior because I have a bunch of seniors. And then I also give them, I rotate between Iceland Pure salmon oil, one bottle, and then I go through a bottle of the Iceland Pure sardine anchovy oil. So I'm switching between a salmon oil and a whitefish oil. And that's what I do with my guys. Recommendations for a poodle mix with recurrent calcium oxalate stones, 2 surgeries, plus yeast environmental allergies. Okay, so what you need to do, yeah, you're on, you are terrible. What you need to do is go to my website and look up crystals and stones in the search, and you will find lots of information about oxalates. And I talked about this in one of the other Q&As this weekend. Really, getting rid of calcium oxalate stones is getting that pH of the urine to come up. Check the pH of the water that you're giving your dog. Make sure that it is a pH of 7 or 7.5. The pH of the urine needs to be 6.5 to 7, not 5, 5.5. And as long as you feed low oxalate ingredients in the food. So that really is a bladder damp heat problem based on the yin and yang book. But we have a list of things in there, whether they're high or low oxalate. Avoid everything in the high oxalate content. Recommend a calorie-dense, low-fat ingredient for a senior who can only eat 3 to 4 low-fat ounces at a time since her Easter pancreatitis attack. She's on home-cooked food. So interestingly, the Keto Pet Sanctuary was doing research on keto diets for dogs with cancer, and their diet was 70% fat. Not one dog got pancreatitis, and they went through hundreds of dogs. Not one dog got pancreatitis on a 70% fat diet because it was raw fats. So you can make your own food. We have a pancreatitis recipe on the website. Just put that in the search engine at drjudymorgan.com and you'll come up with a homemade diet that is balanced. And you can certainly keep her on home cooked food, but we need healthy fats in the diet. Raw fats are going to be much better. Can you give mushrooms raw or does it have to be lightly boiled as a guest speaker suggested? So if you really want the power of mushrooms, hey, Caroline, if you really want the power of mushrooms and you want to release all the nutrient dense ingredients that are in there, that the polysaccharides and all the things that are really going to give you the health benefits, they should be either, I actually like to saute them in coconut oil. That is going to release all of that and make them much more powerful. So you get just a lot more nutrient value if they are cooked. And Ihor Basco may have been one of the ones who talked about it. He's a mushroom guru. Are elk antlers okay to give dogs to chew on? They are very hard, and I have seen so many. Lorraine, you're the only one not getting sound. Check your sound on your computer. Elk antlers are very hard. I've seen a lot of broken teeth with them, so I do not recommend them because that's a very hard, brittle chew. All right. If a dog tests negative for both IgA and IgM on the NutriScan for a specific food, but he's never eaten that food, does that necessarily mean he does not have a food sensitivity to it? Well, he shouldn't have a sensitivity because he's never had it. We build sensitivities over time. Allergies are something that you build with repeated exposure. So that would be something that you could try a bit of the food and see how the dog reacts to it. With that said, my puppy tested negative for everything. And honestly, anything rabbit, I got bloody vomit and diarrhea in 12 hours. So, and I've repeatedly checked that with him. So I don't know why he didn't test positive for it, other than the fact that I had not given him rabbit for quite a while before the test. So, and it's, you know, if you haven't been exposed to something for a really long time, you're not going to have a lot of active antibodies floating around to it. All right. Okay. All right. Gwen's in here answering. We'll see how long it takes for her to get kicked out tonight. When I switch the protein in your Yorkie's food, can I switch between gently cook and raw on small batch foods? Yep. Yeah, that's no problem. You can go back and forth between the two. That's no problem at all. Hey, Lori Mady, if we have a consult coming up this week, are you sending me lab work? All right. Gwen posted the replays on the spooky drugs, so you can find out about the cyclosporin there. Do we ship to Australia? It depends what we're trying to ship, because Australia customs are mean. They will destroy product. So it would depend on what you're trying to get. Our deer antler velvet cannot be shipped directly from the US to Australia, but it can come from New Zealand to Australia. So the product has to go directly from our New Zealand manufacturer and distributor to you in Australia. So we have to do it end around. And Gwen says, yes, we ship, but it's just expensive. So Australia just changes things up. All right, we got urine crystals posted. What suggestions would you have for a chronic hepatitis dog, 12 years old, to help regain weight? Kind of depends what is going on there, but hepatitis is generally a hot problem. So it just depends whether you want to feed a higher fat content to get more calories per ounce of food, or whether you want to add in a carb. Jean Dodds uses white potatoes in her liver diet. I probably would use sweet potato, but that's totally up to you. Do you recommend following NRC requirements to balance a meal, or BARF model and balance over time? I do a little bit of both. So if I am putting a recipe out, I really try to at least satisfy the requirements of NRC, AFCO, FEDIAC. But just remember, they are looking at minimums. And so I formulate higher levels than what they're recommending. But I'm a huge fan of balance over time. And I agree with Dr. Billinghurst that we don't have to be so crazy about putting every vitamin and mineral in every bowl. With that said, be very careful not to fall back and always be low in calcium or always be low in zinc or always be low in fat soluble vitamins like vitamin D. So you've got to have enough basic knowledge to at least say, ooh, geez, I haven't gotten any eggs in a week. I haven't gotten any fish in a week. My vitamin D levels are probably low. Oh, poo. I didn't get any kelp. I don't have an iodine source. I haven't done any oysters or mussels. I'm low on zinc. And that's where Hannah Zulueta, I think it was today, talked about the different things that you can add into your meals. And those were things that she talked about: flaxseed, eggs, fish, some sort of a zinc source, a calcium source. And so that's very helpful. Would you recommend the RX K9 minerals for a balanced meal? Well, it's a great calcium source. It has no zinc. So for years, I've been recommending using the minerals and essentials, and the zinc levels aren't high enough. So with any product that we're using, we have to, kind of read the ingredients and look at it and go, well, are all the things covered there, or are there some things missing? I can't remember whether manganese is in there. So that's another one. But you can get that from other sources. So for zinc, we can use oysters, mussels, wheatgrass is great. You can use a zinc drop like she talked about, or a zinc capsule, but it's going to be a very low dose one. Okay, 4-year-old boxer, 1 year raw fed, started vomiting immediately after eating. Now cooking pup loaf. Could there be a reason? Should I try again? Full disclosure, raw mixed with open farm kibble. Well, obviously something wasn't agreeing. Whether if she's doing well on the cooked puff loaf, it could just be that the raw wasn't agreeing with her. And we do have dogs where that occurs. And then boxers are prone to weird things like megaesophagus and other things. So I would try in small amounts and just see what happens. And even though, yes, they can digest kibble and raw together, I would try doing it separately and see what happens. Some dogs just don't do as well on it. And it could be that her digestive system has changed. And make sure when you're feeding raw that you're warming it to room temperature, that you're not serving it cold. All right, there's the pancreatitis recipe. I heard you say yesterday that freeze-dried raw should not have fruits and veggies. No, it can have fruits and veggies. There's pre-model raw that doesn't have fruits and veggies, or you can feed the ones that do. My dogs eat about 20% fruits and veggies in their meals. So, all right. When you switch between proteins for your Yorkies, can you switch between gently cooked and raw? I think I answered that, but yes, you can. And it doesn't matter. It can be every other meal. It really doesn't matter. Vital Essentials does not. So is that enough vitamins and minerals, please? Yeah, theirs is balanced. It's a balanced meal. Should you use digestive enzymes, and which ones do you like? It kind of depends, particularly with our senior dogs where they may not be digesting as well. I think they can be extremely helpful. I do like the RXzyme from RX Vitamins. I really like the one from Adored Beast. If you have a dog with EPI, then we tend to go with pork-based digestive enzyme products. You can also feed bits of pancreas if you can get a hold of that. I know Hair Today has it, and some of the other raw suppliers have it. Okay, let's see. 2-year-old dog having second TPLO. Great. Had the other 625. Oh my gosh. Been feeding them homemade cooked meal the last month. Started raw slowly. Gut issues and allergies since adopted. Did allergy testing. She's been on Honest Kitchen goat milk. She's now taking bovine colostrum bee powder. Yeah, that all sounds great. And if we've had ruptured cruciates, manganese is a huge issue that contributes to that. And from a TCVM standpoint, it's a liver blood deficiency. Will a digestive enzyme help absorb calories with a 1-year-old boxer that's very active? Yeah, I mean, digestive enzymes can definitely help. But I also like fermented foods, and maybe looking at something like the Solutions pet products where it's so nutrient dense that you can get away with feeding less and have them absorb more. I'm reading Donna Berkowitz with The Dog on a Million Drugs. It's not uncommon for when you start S. boulardii and fecal transplant that they get diarrhea because you're changing their gut microbiome. This is a dog with a really messed up microbiome, like totally messed up. And that's why she's not tolerating anything. If your dog is stable on the low-fat kangaroo, you may have to stay there. But just remember that this gut is not getting healed because this gut is not tolerating anything. And I cannot diagnose or treat that dog. That dog is a mess. I think that you need to find a holistic veterinarian to try to help you, somebody that can be hands-on with the dog, because that is a gut that is in serious distress. So would love my work if it was done for horses. Jean Harmon, and we have her horse longevity course on Dr. Judy U. Cats, we do all the same things for kitty cats that we do for dogs. This just happens to be a dog summit, so we're talking about dogs. On Dr. Judy U, we do have recordings from a cat summit that we did maybe about a year ago. Gwen may be able to post that, although she's going to get kicked off if she posts too much. Follow the two crazy cat ladies, Julie Ann Thorne. I'm not gonna remember the name of her website, but she's in the UK. And so there's a lot of good sites out there. But Joyce Harmon is my horse guru, and there are a couple of other holistic Facebook pages for horse care as well that are really excellent. Suggestions on where to purchase raw meaty bones that are budget friendly. Well, that depends where you live and whether you're getting them shipped in from somewhere, but I would even try your local butcher or grocery store. Kimberly Goutier, who's one of our speakers, has on her website a list of co-ops by state that people have given her the information about, that has different places where you can buy things in bulk or buy in co-ops or get in groups to get things. Masterclass link. We put that up again, Jindy? All right. There we go. petsummits.com/nutrition/masterclass. Why do blood tests say your dog is allergic to a protein even if they haven't eaten that protein? And should we still try that protein to see if they tolerate it? You can try it. And I said to always take those with a grain of salt. So for instance, I asked Dr. Dodds about that once, and I said, look, this is a dog that's never eaten rabbit. Why is he coming up positive on for rabbit? And she said, well, if they eat rabbit poop, that's going to sensitize them. So they can have exposures that we don't know about as well. So, but like I said, always take those food allergy tests, whether they're serum or skin or saliva tests. Take them with a grain of salt. And sometimes you just have to try little bits of things. Like I talked about yesterday, I had a dog that said he was fine with beef. We gave him beef and he blew up like a football. And so we had to take him off it. All right. Sending it tomorrow. Thanks, Lori. Where is the spooky drugs posted? I do not see the link on YouTube. It's somewhere in the feed here, but on my YouTube page, Dr. Judy Morgan, we have there's 10 of them. Watched Rhea Hogan on the use of herbs. She recommended mainly infusions. What if my dog won't drink them? A lot of them, I would mix them just in their food, and that hides it pretty well. You can try putting it directly in their mouth, put it on a favorite treat, hide it in something. Most herbs dogs take pretty well, unless they're really bitter. Like my Stuart hates his hawthorn drops, hates them. They are very bitter, hates them. We get him down, but he hates them. Had your dog in to have his anal glands expressed. They wouldn't see him because he doesn't have a rabies vaccine, but has a New Jersey exemption. Should that be able to be used also in Pennsylvania? That is a clinic by clinic and state by state deal. I'm pretty sure Pennsylvania allows exemptions as well. I certainly wrote a lot of exemptions for dogs in Pennsylvania when I was practicing in New Jersey. But that is just, I kind of feel like that's the vet being kind of a pain. So I'd find somebody else. 2.5-year-old is picky. We consulted a nutritionist in the States, created a home cooked meal for her. She initially was very excited, but got very bored of it. Any recommendations? Yeah, you got to rotate. You got to find other things to put in there. So, I mean, that's why we talk about rotation and having lots of options. Balance over time, but how much time to balance? We want to get the nutrients in over the course of a week. So, for instance, if you're using oysters as your zinc, um, one oyster a day is going to be plenty for most dogs, or you can feed 7 once a week. Kind of a lot of oysters at once, but it's up to you. So I usually look at over about a 7-day period. Did I get my vitamin D in there? Did I get my, I mean, vitamin A is, I think, easier to get, particularly if you're feeding organs. If you're feeding liver, you're going to have plenty of vitamin A. So it's really just kind of taking the time to see what is in the ingredients that you like to use. And there you can find nutrition data. There's actually nutritiondata.com or .org. It's a human site, but you can literally look up anything, any vegetable, fruit, meat, whatever, and it'll give you the breakdown of it. And then, kind of figure out from there. All right. Is green lip mussels enough omega-3? Depends how much green lip mussel you're giving. What do I think of animal essentials, seaweed calcium to add in homemade cooked meals, or RX vitamins a better option? I actually like seaweed calcium a lot, and I think it has a little bit broader spectrum. So how long are eggs good in the refrigerator if they're free range? About 30 days. How do you feed wheatgrass? Powder, wheatgrass powder. 10-year-old greyhound, grade 4 heart murmur, raw fed for the last 6 years till 4 months ago. Vet put her on renal care kibble. Go back to raw. You can transition back to raw, be no problem. And look on my website for our kidney week and our kidney diets. Depending on how high the BUN and creatinine is and how high the phosphorus is, that is going to determine whether or not you need to restrict protein. But we do not restrict protein until these dogs are in stage 3 or stage 4 kidney disease. Otherwise, we're starving them. And with a dog with a heart murmur, that dog needs taurine, that dog needs carnitine, that dog needs meat. Is the deer antler velvet okay to use in dogs that have sensitivities to venison? It seems to be. I think we have had maybe 2 dogs who had a little bit of redness around their mouth. That's it. And those weren't even dogs that necessarily were sensitive to venison, but it could have been the shellfish that was in there. So worth trying. Would the senior formula affect the liver negatively? No, if anything, it's going to help. Your dog eats once a day. She just started on Simplex F and Ovex P for her urinary incontinence. What can I give her for her second dose in the day as food? Whatever you want. I mean, for my dogs, I hide their medications in chicken hearts. Whatever your dog likes that you want to use. And so it doesn't have to be a big meal. It can just be something small that you're putting it in. 18-year-old cat, mildly elevated enzymes eating raw, cystic lesions on the liver. On ultrasound, she's jaundiced, using turmeric and milk thistle ground. Any additional help? Oh, that's a mess. So if that cat stops eating, you're going to have to put in a feeding tube. I've done a lot of work with those kinds of kitty cats. We're this kind of a dog summit, so I don't want to go too deeply into that. And I don't know if I have anything on the website about that. Last week talked about the hunger puke. My dogs are on raised right, have no special time to eat. However, today my one Shih Tzu puked yellow. Is that an underlying issue? No. I mean, it may have been a one-time deal. Who knows? I would wait and see if it repeats. I don't know what lab Dr. Richter uses for omega testing, but I think that Dr. Odette Suter and Dr. Richter both have talked about that. So I would look on their websites or send them an email and see what you can get. Working with TCM, working out personality. Do you do the test regularly, monthly, seasonally, yearly, or is it one and done? No, it's not a one and done because we change with time. We change as we age. We change with the seasons. So I would reevaluate at least a couple times a year. Certainly if something seems out of whack, all of a sudden they're starting to vomit or they're having softer stools, there's mucus in the stools, anything like that, definitely reevaluate and see what's going on. Is it a seasonal problem or did something change? You've tried the digestive enzyme by Edward Beast, and she hated the taste because it's bitter. Yeah, you tried it. Yeah, well, I kind of say if you're not willing to try it yourself, you shouldn't give it to your dogs. So that's the kind of stuff that we try to find. So yeah, if she doesn't like it, find a different one. New to feeding my pit bull pups a raw diet, live in a rural town, only have access to grocery store meat at the moment. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And if you can find organic and can afford it, perfect. And if you can't, try to get grass fed. I mean, you just want to try to get to the highest level that you can without breaking the bank and also without having to drive 500 miles to find something. And they have no food allergies. It's great. Cushing's dog constipated, fed Dr. Harvey's and raw on top with fish oil. What to use? I would start with pumpkin, just some canned pureed organic pumpkin. See if that's enough to get things moving through. Should you stop all supplements until after TPLO, like the vet is telling, or should I do the gut protocol after surgery, before surgery? I would do the gut protocol after because they're going to use a ton of medications that are going to screw up that gut microbiome. Dr. Gans talked about that in her presentation today. So everything's going to be a mess after surgery. So you're definitely going to want to do some detox, some liver detox, some kidney detox, and help the gut afterwards. All right, dog with a low T4. Dr. Cooney put her on thyroid support. Great. But we want to use more than just a T4. And it depends which T4 test they ran. All right. Need another cat summit. Yeah, we'll get one put together. I think the two crazy cat ladies want to do something with us. So we will. Recommended that you add vitamin E along with fish on a raw diet. It seemed like this wasn't a concern during the barf discussion, but I may have misunderstood. Can you clarify? We do want to make sure that we have enough vitamin E in the diet. That's another one that commonly gets kind of left out. So we get it from like plant seed oils, flax seed, hemp seed. That's or just using ground flax or ground hemp hemp seed is a great place to get it. A lot of times, if they are eating a lot of fish, we'll end up with a vitamin E deficiency. So you definitely want to make sure that there's some vitamin E in there. And it just depends. I mean, how often are you feeding fish? What foods are good for helping the thyroid? That's usually a blood and yin deficiency. So yin tonics and blood tonics. Amazed at the benefits of deer velvet. Did I hear you right that I can give smaller doses of the senior for your two littles that are 6-pound Yorkies? Yeah, if they're older and you want to give the senior, absolutely. You could probably, they're hard to split though. I was going to say you probably could split a pill between them once a day. If you gave them the full dose, it's not going to hurt anything. The big difference is if they're old and you're worried about some cognitive dysfunction, the senior has the ginseng in it. Otherwise, I would use the wellness on the little guys and you'll be just fine. The dose is going to be good. All right. Your 8-year-old BMD, I'm assuming is Bernie's Mountain, is on a green lip muscle powder. Mine with some fish oil, raw fed his entire life. If I give pure deer antler velvet, can that replace the other supplements? They're all different. They're all different. So, I mean, I use green lip. I mean, our senior formula has the green lip muscle and the deer antler velvet in it. So you might be able to get rid of your green lip muscle powder. I can't remember what's in the Myos, but that's different. And then the fish oil is an omega-3. It's going to be a much higher concentration than what is in the deer antler velvet. Somebody says you can't post their question. Well, if you can post that you can't post your question, then you should be able to post your question. But I'm way behind. Do you recommend a virtual holistic vet? We've got none anywhere near us. The ones I've used online weren't helpful. Just told me to stay on the horrible medications for your dog. We have a whole list, but I don't know. I mean, man, you're gonna, I don't know where you live. Have you looked at ahvma.org? 3-year-old Cavalier with IBD doesn't like goat's milk and bone broth, green juju, eating prescribed rain kangaroo, but doesn't love it. I'm guessing he doesn't. In Florida, trouble finding real holistic diet. You have more holistic veterinarians in Florida than any other state. Like seriously, depending on where you are in Florida, go to ahvma.org or look on the Chi Institute, CHI Institute. They are in Gainesville, Florida, and they've trained something like 60,000 TCVM veterinarians. So, and because they're in Florida, they have a lot of Florida grads there. So, I would absolutely look there. And if you're anywhere near the Winter Park area, Dr. Connie DiNatale is the guru. I don't know how long her waiting list is, but she's amazing. Or she may be able to point you towards somebody else. All right. Beard staining on a 5-month-old Westie who just transitioned off kibble from the breeder to all provide gently cooked. Is food causing it? Any supplements that might help? So a lot of times when we're getting the staining, it's like the eye staining as well. And I wonder if you tried the Oculus Prime by Dr. Connor Brady, one of our speakers. It's for tear stains, but basically it changes the microbiome in the secretions and gets rid of the staining. So I would try maybe something like that. And I've also had people say that feeding blueberries changes the microbiome because of the fiber in the tears as well, and has helped with tear staining. So things to try. All right. Senior client that has terrible skin, smelly, crusty, high anxiety, feeding all provided. He gets monthly injections of Cytopoint, but you got him off Apoquel. Bathe him weekly with IV San Bernard skin therapy line. Do you have access to, I'm assuming you're a groomer. I would look for a TheraClean. This dog has, his microbiome is a mess. His skin's a mess. He has high anxiety. We talked about behavior associated with, Dr. Connor Brady talked about it. Dr. Holly Gans talked about it. Get him to do an animal biome test. Got to fix the biome. He's on a good food, but maybe the dog has a sensitivity to whichever protein they're feeding. So we got to figure that out. What do I think of adding MCT oil instead of coconut oil? That's great. And a few times a week with hemp seed oil, also great. No fish oil since I give her sardines and mussels. Perfect. I've been switching your German Shepherd and Mal Shepherd to Pup Loaf. How do I determine how much I should feed each one daily? So it's generally, we'll have to go by ounces because we're not going to do calories. I don't have that on top of my head. But it's going to be about a pound of food per 50 pounds. So I don't know how big your dogs are, but it's about a pound of food per 50 pounds per day. All right. I have a senior rescue Cavapoo feeding Dr. Harvey's, beta sitosterol, wellness, CBD chew, still chews on her front paw. Is it one paw or is it both paws? Because if it's one paw, there's something wrong with that one paw. It's not an allergy. If it's one paw, make sure you have it looked at. It could be arthritis in a joint or in the toes. Could be a nail bed tumor. We see a lot of those. So if you got to look at where the chewing is. Somebody was on social media the other day and said their dog has started licking on the front of the elbow area, like the upper leg, one leg. Well, that's not an allergy problem. That's a nerve problem coming down from the neck. So we recommended chiropractic and acupuncture for that dog. Your dog's pH is 7. Is that too high? I'm assuming we're talking urine, and that's perfect. No problem at all. 14-year-old pit bull, stage 2 renal disease, stable. Yay. Has osteoarthritis, not comfortable using gabapentin or Galliprant. Use Jump. I'm thinking maybe you're going to say Jump for joints, but we have a blog on treating arthritis naturally. There's so many things you can do for that, and I would try to avoid using those drugs as well. Is raw feeding for a senior dog using digestive enzymes for absorption okay? Yeah. Or is gently cooked better for digestion and absorption to keep weight on? You can do whichever you are comfortable with. I have kept our seniors on raw up to 19 years old with no issues. So it just depends on the dog. Let's see. Go ahead and post it all about kidney disease. All right. My dog is raw fed, eats kangaroo, chicken wings, necks. You must be from across the pond. Necks and feet, along with mackerel, turkey, and complete mix sensitive. Muesli mixes to mimic gut content. All right. So green lip mussel, turkey tail mushroom still gets colitis. What am I doing wrong? Well, um, colitis very commonly is related to anxiety. So does this dog have any anxiety? Does the colitis occur all the time, or does the colitis come in spurts after something changes in the dog's routine? This is kind of one of those where we need the personality of the dog. Do we have liver qi stagnation that's causing heat that's descending down to the large intestine? Does this dog have a sensitivity to something that he's on? Chicken, kangaroo, whatever, turkey, could be anything. If it's all the time, it's a food issue. If it is intermittent, I'd be more concerned that it's an anxiety related problem. There we go. Oh, so this was the one with the arthritis that was talking about jump for joints, CBD dog health, Adored Beast probiotics and turkey tail with antler products help. Yeah, it's just one more layer. So we can layer on a lot of different things. And for me personally, I would layer on because each one acts differently. And I would layer on every natural thing I could before I would turn to the drugs. Isn't chicken inflammatory? Do you think it's still good for pancreatitis? Chicken is not necessarily inflammatory. It is a warming meat. I like dark meat chicken a lot better than white meat chicken. But it can be fine for pancreatitis. It just depends. If your dog has a chicken sensitivity, then no, it's not good. We can use whitefish. We can use pork. We can use lean pork. We can use turkey. We can use rabbit. There's a lot of options. Don't think Mexico cleans their eggs, find poop and yolk or whatever, but in case they do, will vinegar be a good source to disinfect the eggshells? Yeah, that's fine. Don't disinfect them until right before you use them. Both dogs have been home cooked last month with all the supplements. Are both extremely itchy since the switch. Is this because I stopped allergy meds, and when will it get better? It depends what they're allergic to. And when we have dogs with significant allergies and they were on all kinds of immunosuppressants, if they were on them for 1 year, it could take 2 years to repair things. If they were on them for 3 years, it could take 6 years. We always say it could be up to double. So it can be a very, very long time, unfortunately. Is open farm gently cooked okay for pancreatitis? Yeah. Let's see. 16-year-old Yorkie cross with pancreatitis and now brain tumor. Oh, lovely. Moved to raw, slightly cooked meat. He refuses any fruits and veggies, which he ate in the past. Any advice? Yeah, poor kid. Taste sensation may have changed a little bit for this guy. So you know what? They don't absolutely have to have fruits and veggies. You can balance a meal without fruits and veggies. So you might want to work with a nutritionist to get a balanced meal for this guy. But you know what? I would still be rotating things and I wouldn't worry about the balance all that much. I would try to be getting some kelp, some vitamin D drops, unless he'll eat things that are high in vitamin D. Definitely make sure you're getting the calcium in there. So, yeah, that's one of those, when we have cancer, their appetite really changes, unfortunately. Okay, what's the best fiber for the dogs you're currently using? Glandex, is that any good? Yeah, that's fine. It just depends. You can use inulin powder. You can just, use fibrous veggies. Just depends what they need. Should you stop all supplements until after TPLO, like the vet is telling me? I didn't hear your answer. It just depends what the supplements are, but you don't want to be giving any fish oils. And again, you got to repair the gut after the surgery. Do we need to treat the gut after a dental? Yes, I have a blog on that talks about exactly what you need to do before and after the dental, as far as detoxing. Vet forced steroids. How do I wean off? Only gave 2 pills, then every other day, 2 more when are off ASAP. Once you get to every other day, and if you only gave it for a couple of days, you don't have to do a long wean. If they've been on it 5 days or more, then I would do a wean. Oh, the poodle with the eosinophilic bronchopneumonia. I don't have doses off the top of my head. You can email us about that if you'd like to. So info around what to feed a dog that's fire and another dog that's earth and wood equally. We have information on the website. There's a blog on pet personality. There's also a pet personality profile you can download. Is there a list of basic fruits and veggies allowed on your website or in your book? There's a very short list of things that you shouldn't use. You shouldn't use grapes and raisins and onions, chocolate, alcohol. Like, you can pretty much use whatever you want. This is the best summit yet. Haven't even been able to watch it all. Well, good. Okay, let's see. 4-year-old Frenchie diagnosed a month ago with optic neuritis encephalitis. Happened within a week. Yeah, it usually does. Went totally blind, has been on steroids and sight came back, giving injections of cytarabine to get her off the steroids. My question is, with her having an immune disorder and being on meds that make her susceptible to germs, is it okay for her to eat raw? Personally, I say yes. Your traditional veterinarian is absolutely going to say no, but you want a clean raw product. So yeah, definitely no more flea and tick, no more vaccines. You've got an autoimmune problem. So, Karen Becker recommends fecal transplants with atopic dermatitis and chronic diarrhea. When do I feel it is indicated? Anytime we have dysbiosis, we may end up having to do a fecal transplant. So some of these dogs, like the one that's on the Prilosec and the ondansetron and whatever that long sucralfate long list of things, that's a dog that is really ripe for a fecal transplant. We got to change something. Best alternative to Incurin or Proin for 5-year-old dog with urinary leakage. We talked about that in our spooky drugs, and I would do herbs and acupuncture for that. And we've got a couple different herbs on the website. We also have a homeopathic product for that as well. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of holistic veterinarians are not, and otherwise, yeah, are not taking new patients. That's very true. Is bone broth okay for dogs from the grocery store if it doesn't have onion in it? A lot of them have onion, unfortunately. I just made a big old batch of bone broth. I was sifting bones out of it right before I came online. Best supplements for manganese. Turmeric. So you can use a golden paste type of thing. Is really good. You can use mussels for that as well. So you can add freeze-dried greenlet mussels or whole mussels. Does Australia ship to Mexico for your products? We are not. I don't even think we're listed on Australian Amazon. We are on US Amazon. Good news. Your dog is getting her 4th acupuncture treatment. You're getting less regurgitating. Good. Yay. That's the direction you need to go. Did I mention a supplement to give to a young dog that has constant tremors, been through all the neuro tests and blood tests? Depends what breed of dog it is. Like Westies I think I have something on tremors. I may have a blog on tremors on my website. All right. So you ordered love bugs. Should you use it daily? Your dog does not have diarrhea. Is it a healthy thing to give daily anyway? Yeah, it kind of depends. I talked about it earlier on one of the things that my dogs don't get their probiotics every single day. I rotate my probiotics and I kind of use them off and on just to give them a little boost. All right. Can your dogs eat soft cooked chicken necks? I would not cook them at all because of the bone. I'd be very, very careful. Guessing routine blood work won't help me with this skin issue. Don't want any more antibiotics for the skin problem, and I don't want any more medicated shampoo. Yeah, so find somebody who can do a TheraClean bath. Thera-clean.com. They have a groomer search on there. And we've got to get away from the antibiotics. So you've got to, routine lab work might show some things that are going wrong. Like maybe we have endocrine disease problems. We have a thyroid problem, an adrenal gland problem. Could be a lot of things that are contributing to it. And then we've got to fix the microbiome. And may need some diet changes as well. Muscles have manganese. Thank you. Went to 2 holistic docs from the AHVMA. They were the ones who put your Cavalier on prescription food. Exactly, exactly. Unfortunately, any veterinarian who does any holistic modality can be listed on AHVMA, so it still is a search. When you find somebody on there, you have to interview them. You have to see what they recommend. That would be something I'd ask on the phone call. Are you a fan of raw feeding? Do you use prescription diets? That's that's a hard no. But definitely check Chi. Different ball game with people from Chi. Do eggshells for pup loaf need to be dried first, or can we crack the egg in the recipe, crush the shells, and add in? You want to have them pretty finely ground. So when you dry them and then use a coffee bean grinder, that gives you that really nice soft powder. If they're in biggish pieces, it's not going to absorb very well. All right. Dog raw fed, Bones and Company, Viva Raw, all provide gently cooked. Doesn't have gas, but once in a blue moon it happens. Should I be concerned? Also, his stomach at times will gurgle. Is that okay? Yeah, I mean, if it's an off and on thing and doesn't happen very often, Lorraine, I wouldn't be worried about it. Oh, let's see. Just confirming it's okay to give your Roddy a raw chicken wing, leg, etc., meat, skin, bones, and all. Yep. Doctor has dog on gabapentin and trazodone for laryngeal paralysis, not doing surgery. What other natural things can I give her? I believe we have a blog on laryngeal paralysis. And that's actually one of the things I'm going to cover in the food therapy coaching program. We have a recipe for that. Had a huge thunderstorm last night. Hates thunder. Hates your grandson's toys. Colitis started this morning. Well, there you go. He doesn't have it all the time. So I'm thinking it's anxiety. 6-year-old GR golden retriever. Yeah, I think it's a colitis thing. Anxiety thing. So I would use things for anxiety when you have. So it sounds like this dog is a little bit upset by loud noises. So grandkids' toys. I know how that goes. Grandkids screaming. So I would make sure that his microbiome is in good shape, because that's going to help with the anxiety. May have a little bit of liver qi stagnation going on there. So we might want to add some dark leafy greens, some dandelion greens, some radish, some carrots, those kinds of things ground in his food. And then the herb Coptis, Coptis, is amazing for treating colitis and not having to resort to metronidazole. Coptis works better than metronidazole without the side effects. Dog with epitheliotropic lymphoma, liver cysts, and a large gallstone, panting a lot after eating meals, but no GI issue. She probably got pain. Stool always normal. I think she's got pain after eating with all those things going on. That gallstone is, after she eats, you've got fat in the diet, which you need to have, and probably trying to spit out bile, and the stone's in the way. Dog has leaky gut on gently cooked food, but I wasn't rotating often, vomiting every 10 days, eats grass often, holistic vet, not much help last time, put him on an antacid. Yeah, antacid's not the way to go. And if he's eating grass often, he may be looking for that fiber source. Maybe try adding inulin into his diet. And that whole vomiting every 10 days, there still could be something in there that is not agreeing. This is what I went through with my puppy. He was vomiting at least once a week, bloody stools, straining, and I couldn't figure it out. We've been slowly narrowing it down. He can't eat things with excessive fat, so beef does not work for him. Like I said, rabbit does not work for him, and that is weird because rabbit is so non-allergenic. So sometimes it really is a matter of trial and error, trying to figure out. Yes, we can use things like the animal biome and the NutriScan testing to try to help shortcut it a little bit, but sometimes it's just trial and error. I have another one that just absolutely cannot tolerate beef. If I feed her beef, we get regurg. She just walks around the house and goes bleh, and brings the food up just walking along. So it's not a vomiting thing, it's a regurg thing. So you just got to figure out what is the issue with your particular dog. But I would bet if you did the animal biome, they would probably tell you that dog needs some fiber. So I would probably add inulin. Oh, you are doing those. Great. Perfect. Just started Dog Gut Health Summit. 2, and on enzymes, start with varieties. Okay to change every week instead of every other day. Yeah, yeah. And that will give you a really good idea when you're kind of doing that rotation thing. And this is where I was messing up with my guy. Every time he would have an upset stomach, I'd be like, oh, I got to feed him rabbit. And then it would get worse and it wouldn't get better. So I was on vacation and my daughter Gwen was taking care of the dog. And she said, you know what? I'm feeding this dog turkey. All he's get it's a balanced turkey diet. But she said, I'm just feeding him turkey and had no problems for 3 weeks. And when I came home, she goes, well, he's fine on turkey. I said, oh, okay, obviously something else was not fine. So that was a really good trial for us to figure out, yeah, he really does have food insensitivities, and this is only a 16-month-old dog. So when you find what works for your dog and you feed the right thing, so now I've discovered my dog can eat venison, he can eat chicken, which is really weird. I would think he would not be okay on that. He's not so great on beef, and he's really not great on rabbit, and he's not so great on duck. So you just kind of have to play with it a little bit. If you can find single protein formulations, it makes it a lot easier to do that trial and error. So like Viva Raw, most their products are single protein formulation. Most of the All Provide products are single formulation. I think the Small Batch. So you just have to look at the company, look at the ingredients, and if it's a single protein, it makes it a lot easier. Would I supplement a Cavalier's heart even before any murmur is detected? I would definitely have them on CoQ10 and omega-3s and a species appropriate diet. Absolutely. Another pancreatitis. Should you stop the CoQ10 that has orange oil and all supplements containing oils? He has pulmonary hypertension. Nope. Especially if it's an encapsulated oil, you can generally still use it. That's usually not a problem. Have I heard of coonhound paralysis? Yes. Is it curable? Maybe what supplements? That's a lot bigger conversation than what I have time for here. But yes, some dogs can do fine. What personality is a Dalmatian? They're all different. You'd have to look at your dogs, where they sleep, and are they vocal, and how do they get along with other animals, and where do they fall in the pack. There's it's not a one size fits all based on breed. We have some generalizations, like Rottweilers tend to be wood personalities. Border collies can be wood or metal. Collies tend to be more metal. So, all right, Gwen posted the quiz. Is golden paste a must? And if so, how many? It's not a must. You can use it for a lot of different things. It's certainly good for arthritis. It's good for, it's a chi tonic, so it gets the blood moving. So a lot of people will use it with heart disease. I don't give it to my dogs on a routine basis. I kind of use it when I need to. Yes, you can use the wheatgrass for humans from a health food store. I mean, it's food. So absolutely. IBD and pancreatitis is autoimmune, so no more vaccinations. Well, I certainly wouldn't be vaccinating that dog. That dog's a train wreck. Sorry, Donna. Yeah, I would hold off on putting anything into that dog that it doesn't need. All right, 15-year-old border collie Dalmatian has intervertebral disc disease, gets acupuncture, perfect, is on GABA. I want him to be comfortable, but hate that he's on GABA. 100 milligrams 3 times a day. What supplements can I use to help his pain and mobility? So again, that goes back to my natural treating arthritis naturally blog. Tons of things in there. So your acupuncturist could actually put him on an herbal formulation based on his presentation. That can be extremely helpful. I did not use gabapentin for IVDD in my practice. I used acupuncture, cold laser. I mean, he's 15, but you still could consider doing PRP or stem cell therapy, massage, and I would look for herbal supplements, things like doggone pain, DGP, the PEA. There's all those things are listed in that blog. Is milk kefir okay for probiotics? If it's a raw milk kefir, yes, that's fine. All right. What do I think about Librela? I don't know what that is. If you can give me what the chemical is in it. Let's see. What do I think of Honest Kitchen goat milk, probiotic, holistic, pet organics, bee powder, organic? That's way too many. Way too many. And I'm not familiar with every one of those companies. Honest Kitchen is a good company. Dr. Bragg's is a good company. So, okay, there's the laryngeal paralysis blog. Do I find it alarming that vets are giving so many dogs gabapentin and trazodone? I do. And I think we're sedating the heck out of dogs that don't need sedation, and making them loopy and wrecking their microbiome with the drugs. It's terrible. What can you do for a 17-month-old Boston Terrier who injured himself in agility and now has a luxating patella? Physical therapy. I would put him on the deer antler velvet. I'd get physical therapy. I would definitely get chiropractic treatment and acupuncture if you have availability. I would be doing cold laser. A lot of things that I would do for that little guy. Coptis is a miracle. All right. Are red dandelion greens the same as regular green ones? I would think so. I've never seen red ones. That's cool. Just a different variety. Oh, Joey's on now too. How much Coptis for a 38 kilogram golden? I'm still thinking that's a golden retriever. 38 kilograms. I do pounds. Times 2.2. 76, like 80-pound dog. So if we're doing the T-pills, it is 1 T-pill per 10 pounds of body weight. So you give like 8 of them for an 80-pound dog twice a day. You have to crush them. So we use a pill crusher to do that and mix them in with some food. If you're doing a powdered herb, it would be a 0.5 gram per 10 to 20 pounds body weight twice a day. So I'd start a 0.5 gram per 20, see if that's enough. Can always go up. Thought on guinea pig as to hot or cold, and kangaroo. Mine was put on it for a damp heat diet. Yeah, so that's a really good question, and I actually looked it up. I think kangaroo is actually pretty warm, and I would think that guinea pig would also be fairly warm because they scurry about. So I could you can what I would do for that. This is something if I don't know one off, and it's because kangaroo is not a meat that we eat here. I don't even. Do you guys eat meat? Do people eat meat? Kangaroo? I don't really know. But if you just put in your search engine TCVM properties of kangaroo meat, TCM, don't put in TCVM, put in TCM. That's traditional Chinese medicine. So a lot of the human sites will give you all of that information as well. So I would, I don't, you might not find guinea pig. But I think guinea pig's going to be warmish would be my thoughts. Okay. What can I give your dog to help with excessive licking of his paws? Well, that's an allergy problem. It could be an external allergy. I would be wiping the feet anytime you come in from outside. If it's all the paws, that's an allergy problem. And so again, we'll go right back to fix the gut, go through the whole allergy protocol. Are lamb ribs and beef ribs safe to eat? Is the bone soft like a neck bone that they can fully chew and eat, or is it more of a weight-bearing bone? No, they're fine, especially lamb ribs. They're a little bit smaller. Beef ribs, if you have a big dog, would be okay. They'll be able to crunch them, but they are pretty big. That's the Fred Flintstone meal. We use pork ribs. So pork ribs I know would be fine, and I would think lamb ribs would be absolutely fine. Okay, pain management. Is there a certain type of cheese that you recommend to put supplements in from the grocery store? Probably goat milk cheese is going to be, if you can find a goat milk cheese, that's going to be one that would be the one that would agree the most with your dogs. Yeah, Bao Huan for stagnation. Perfect. Great. I use it all the time. Border Collie had diarrhea after homemade bone broth, only fed a little since it was the first time I used chicken feet and beef marrow bones, wondering if the marrow was too rich. Could have been. And if you made your own, did you put it in the refrigerator and then skim the fat off the top? It could have just been a little too much for his guts right off the bat, but I would certainly try to stick with getting some bone broth in. The IVI blend is the one I recommended the other day, but you need a prescription from your veterinarian for that one. So there's a lot of other ones. And Hannah Zulueta, in her presentation today, talked about different things for balancing diets. You do eat kangaroo, very lean and high in protein. So I would think it's more like a venison. Okay. Is CoQ10 necessary for a 2-year-old Great Dane? Necessary good health? No, at 2 years old, they're probably making enough of their own. But as they age and as we age, our body makes less. And that's why we need to start supplementing. Holy cow. All right. We are at 1 hour. And according to my thing, there's no more questions down there, which is amazing. Gwen, thank you very much. Joey, thank you very much for posting things. I think Caroline was on there as well. So that's awesome. And I hope everyone has enjoyed this summit as much as I have. I was pretty skeptical when I was asked to do this. I was like, oh, this is going to be so much work, so much. And you know what? It's been a ton of fun. Yes, it's been a lot of work, but it's been a ton of fun. And I think we've gotten to meet some new people. And for Can Dogs Eat Spinach? Yes. So follow us at drjudymorgan.com and on our social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I think we have a little bit of stuff going on TikTok. Gwen's in charge of making fun videos. Thank you again to our sponsors, Embrace Pet Insurance, Animal Biome, Raw Dog Food and Company, Four Legger. And for those of you interested in learning more about TCVM nutrition for your dogs and want to do the food therapy for dogs coaching program, it will be an intense 2 days, November 19th and 20th. I was asked, is that really like 6 hours straight? It's a long day. Yes. So, get your jammies and your slippers and your tea or your coffee and your notebook. And, we're going to go to town. So, all right, everyone, have a wonderful week. And thank you for joining us.